a good run for gold, and you still don't hear anyone really mentioning gold. Again, they provide themselves cover here and there, but let's talk for a minute about Greece, because I think you brought that up the last time you were on the show. You're kind of ahead of the curve on this. There's a Reuters article dated February 9th. It says Greece outlined on Tuesday its public sector income policies and tax reform bill. Is this new to you, Bob, or do you know what I'm referencing here?
No, I know what you're referencing.
And one of the items here is taxation. It says from 1 January 2011, every transaction above 1,500 euros between a natural person and a business or between businesses will not be considered legal if it is done in cash. Now, I don't know about you, but somebody's telling Greece to do that besides a few people in Greece. Wouldn't you agree?
It's being dictated by the European Union. I've heard two different figures. The black market, the black economy in Greece is somewhere between 30 and 50%, which is a cash economy, and they're trying to stamp it out. And in doing so, they say that you can't accept cash, which means everybody who has cash and it's not in a bank, then they can't spend it. Now, what that's going to do is cause people to change their cash into another currency and leave. And so they'll depopulate the country. Incidentally, about 38 to 40% of the U.S. economy is a black economy, people operating for cash. And most people don't realize that. 1/3 of the earnings of individual businesses, small businesses, they declare what they make. The other 2/3 goes in the safe. And the government knows that. And they're not going to tell you about that. It costs them over $300 billion a year, and I've seen figures as high as $500 billion. And so what they're trying to do in Greece is stop the cash economy. And they'll try it in other countries as well. That's why gold and silver coins are so important. And also gold and silver shares for those who want to invest in that area. And these limitations that are being put on in Greece are an adjunct to what this is really all about. Now, what it's really all about is this. When the idea of changing the European Economic Community, which was a precursor to the European Union and the Eurozone, and for those who don't know, there's 27 countries in the European Union. Only 16 of them are in the Eurozone. The rest have their own currencies.
And Greece
in the formation.
Greece is in the Eurozone, correct?
Yes. And in the formation, they had a thing called a treaty that was drawn up in Maastricht, which is in Belgium. And it was called the Maastricht Treaty. And it said a lot of things, but one of the important things that it said was debt, public debt, could be no higher than 3% of GDP. Well, in order to bring Greece and Italy into the fold, because they wanted them in, they turned the other way when Goldman Sachs was Mickey Mousing the figures and carrying two sets of books for both countries. I wrote about it extensively, especially about Italy.
Now, you mean
and the two of them should have never been accepted in the first place.
You mean
now,
their debt levels?
They've known this for 10 years or more. Now, what they're doing here is they're taking down Greece. There was no reason several weeks ago for this to happen, when it could have happened 5 years ago or 2 months ago, whatever. Now, what they're up to is this. They have inflation. They're going to have hyperinflation throughout the world. over the next year to year and a half, 2 years. They're getting ready to deliberately destroy the economy and the finances of the world. They're going to take all of these nations that are deeply in debt and on the edge, and they're going to take them right up to the edge. That includes countries like Ireland, Spain, Portugal, Italy, maybe even Belgium, Luxembourg. You already saw Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Hungary, Romania. They're all on the edge. Poland is getting toward the edge as well. In the United States, they're on the edge. We're worse off than anybody. England is a basket case. They're already on the edge. And then within the United States, we have state governments that are on the edge, that are going to go bankrupt. And what they're going to do is they're going to pull the plug on inflation. They're going to allow deflation to take hold. A deflationary instead of what we've already had, an inflationary depression. When they pull that plug, they're going to have a meeting. And that meeting is going to be like the Smithsonian meetings of the 70s, the Plaza Accord of 85, the Louvre Accord of 87. They're going to realign currencies. They'll revalue, they'll devalue other currencies, and there'll be a debt settlement. My guess, for every dollar that the United States owes, say, Chile, they'll pay him 30 cents on the dollar, 32 cents on the dollar. And all nations will do that between themselves. At the same time, all of these countries are going to claim bankruptcy. Everybody will get paid 30 cents, 32 cents on the dollar.
With a new currency.
Domestically, many currencies, not all, will be devalued officially. And that includes the U.S. dollar.
So is there going to be one world currency?
Well, I'm getting there. And what they're going to do
now, Bob,
is they're going to create...
Bob, you got to hold on. We got one more break, okay? So hold that thought.
Right.
We're here with Bob Chapman. That's a good point, good place to break. He's going to tell you what's going to, he believes is going to happen after they devalue these currencies and have settlements between every country. So hang in there. We got Bob Chapman, the international forecaster. This is 970 KNUU. All right, this is Jeff with Mike and Jeff Keeping It Real. We have Bob Chapman on the phone with the internationalforecaster.com. And Bob, you were going to finish up the end game here with the devaluing of the currencies. You left off with right at the point where you were going to explain what you think is going to happen with this deflationary cycle.
So what they'll do is they'll form the G20 countries with their currencies, and they will create an international trading unit, not a one-world currency, and at least not at that stage. And each currency will be weighted as to the financial condition of the country. And what's very important is how much gold they have, because they're going to have a gold backing on that unit, or no one's going to want it. And so I expect somewhere between 10 and 25% backing, probably 15. And that will give the world a gold-backed currency. And that will be used for international trade. But in the meantime, the world is going to be wallowing in depression, and it's going to last for years. And so you say, well, how do we come out of this? Well, until the excesses and all the debt has been purged, we can't start over again. And that's why it's extremely important, because this is where this is going. Believe me, I've been right 98% of the time for the last 21 years. I've been very fortunate. But I have a lot of insight into this because I've been at it for 50 years. And I know what these people are up to. I know how they think. And if you want to understand what a criminal's going to do, you got to think like a criminal and get into the criminal's head. You ask any good policeman, they'll tell you that's what they do. And so,
Well, what, Bob? Real quick, what? So, are things like the forex will be gone? Are you saying that these currencies?
no, I'm not saying they'll be gone. There'll be tremendous adjustments. The way of life that we've had will change. I mean, we're looking at a way of life where 70% of GDP has come from the American public spending. You can't have that. In fact, it was as high as 73, and the true figure right now is 69.5, maybe 70.
But with no
And
credit.
The long-term average is 64.5, incidentally.
But Bob, they don't have any credit that's being able to extend down to the working class anymore. Miguel can talk about not having any, being able to get people loans. We're a service economy.